Well, hello and welcome. Well, it's that time of the season, if I may say, but particularly for the MPP. And the question we are asking is the MPP ready for power? As they're going to go through the primaries to elect prospective candidates who are going to stand come 2016. Well, some 30 constituencies have been ruled out for whatever reason. We're yet to find out. But with all the Nanado chairman thing, there's a turmoil going on in the party, will they be able to come out of this clean and present one formidable force which they will use as a campaign tool for 2016? Who knows? But with me in the studio is my brother, my friend, my work colleague, Evans Mensah, who's from the political desk at Joy FM. So they understand the intricacies of all these things. So he's going to try and educate us. Joining us later on the show will be John Boedu, who's the national organizer for the MPP. Obi Yamoa from Webri constituency will be on the phone. Dominic Nitiwul, MP for Bimbilla, also minority leader, will join us on the phone to shed insights on what's going on in the party. But Evans, you're welcome.
Thank you, Nana.
Isn't it amazing that all this time you've never been on my show and you're just across the road?
That's very true. That's very true.
Evans, I want to start with these 30 constituencies. It's a word that I've never been able to say, constituencies, that have been exempt from, Saturday's votes. Do you know why it is so?
Well, some of them, it's clear. Most of them have issues, some controversies surrounding them. For most part, it's legal. So, for example, in a place like Tema West or Korle Klottey, for example, there are, issues about legality and the process of trying to clear some of the aspirants is still ongoing. For example, today, the party was still doing reviews of some of the decisions that have been taken concerning some of the candidates in these constituencies, and that process is not ended. And so it's be unwise to still insist that you're going to go ahead with primaries on Saturday. Then what it will only mean is that people will simply take the party to court even further. The case of Tema West is a pretty interesting one, for example, because the constituency youth organizer there took the party to court, stating that one of the contenders, candidates who had been cleared after an initial hitch, cannot go ahead and contest, and therefore the court granted him an injunction. The injunction is supposed to last for 10 days, but it's going to be impossible for the party to hold elections within the period. And so the party is trying to do put together a few things to try and rectify this particular challenge. And so Mr. Hinkra, for example, today appeared before the appeals committee of the party, which is one of the key issues that had led to the court matter. And there's a whole controversy surrounding Tema West because of the personality who's incumbent. The incumbent there is Natoshi, Natoshi Addo. And she is accused of, masterminding this whole court case to try and, stifle competition. Therefore, then she can then run and sail through quite, unscathed. That has been the accusation. I'm pretty sure that she will deny that. But there is a background to all this. This is one of the constituencies where, if they had succeeded in pushing through the affirmative action, should have benefited. All the male contenders would have been out of the way and should have been smooth sailing. And therefore, people say, okay, now that didn't go through, okay, how can I find a way of getting other people out of the way so I can contest without much challenge? And you can understand why anybody would think like that, because that is a pretty precarious seat. It's not, by any stretch of the imagination, a safe seat for the NPP, because she won it by less than 900 votes in the general elections in the 2012.
That's a close margin. Let me acknowledge Dominic Nitiwul, who's Honourable Member of Parliament for Bimbilla. Dominic, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's, as they say in Tree, ejabo, jabedu, so the time is almost here. With some of the news we are hearing from the party, where some party heads are calling for old and seasoned MPs, to be kept safe. How are the party faithfuls going to adhere to this?
Wow, the reception is very poor. I'm not able to hear exactly what you have said, but let me give you a cherished listener. But the reception is very poor. I never heard you.
Let me repeat. What I was saying was that with the primaries coming up, the party gurus are calling that the seasoned MPs in Parliament be kept there, i.e., don't contest them so they get a chance to come back. Are you for that motion, or are you for free for all?
I am very supportive of strengthening our side, especially if we have to win power. Strengthening our side with people who can deliver at the constituencies, that is, deliver with votes and also deliver in Parliament. It is a bonus to have somebody who is very, very popular at the constituencies and also very, very popular in Parliament. That is, he knows his parliamentary duties very well. In most times, you could have an MP who's very good in Accra, but in the constituency he has problems. But I am also for people who say that the two leadership positions, that is the majority leader and the minority leader, we should find a way as a political party to isolate them from going through the hustle and bustle of primaries. I'm surely for that. It is good because it stabilizes the leadership of the caucuses, that is the minority and majority group. The reason being that if you have a leader who is focused, if you have a leader who knows that he's secure in terms of his position, that leader will deliver and deliver very well. But if you have a leader who has divided attention, okay, people are chasing him in his constituency, people are campaigning against him in his constituency, and people are trying to unseat him, it becomes very difficult for that leader to deliver to the best of his ability. Because over the first 2 years, especially like in NPP, when you are in opposition, that leader is struggling to satisfy his constituents as much as struggling to satisfy Parliament, and then lead his leadership role. It's not going to be very easy. So if we could, as a political party, look at that option, I'll be one of the first people who will support it. How for the other leaders?
Dominic, before you, Dominic, hold on.
The other leaders,
hold on. Dominic, hold on. Before you move on, if this clause comes in, won't the leader then be a little bit complacent, thinking, well, whether I lobby for you or not, my position is secure? Complacency could set in.
No, not at all. It's politically wise. It's politically wise not to disturb it. I don't think we should make a rule, but we should make exceptions in that case. We should have a practice like the British system, where they allow the leader to continue. If you are deposed as the leader, then that's it. But the moment you pick somebody to be a leader, for example, in this case, a leader of 123 MPs, and then you go to the constituencies with person, God forbid, and that leader fails, then the question arises: is he going to continue as a leader for the next one and a half years? Are you going to change the leader? What will be his style? Will he have authority over the people, MPs who have come and they have won and he didn't win? So many ifs and buts. That's why you don't want to go to this uncharted waters. Even if he does win, and he wins with a very slim margin, he comes with a dented image. And so I've been watching the NDC. I'll tell you, the NDC have been very smart when it comes to some of these things. They have been extremely politically very well when it comes to this. It's not a force, but politically, it is wise to do that. Because in a democracy, you cannot stop somebody's ambition. You cannot say somebody shouldn't contest elections. But politically, where MPP fights, particularly for 2016 elections, I believe that we should be politically wise in what we do. Otherwise, we're going to face a very difficult opponent. We are going to face an opponent who knows that you need a minimum of 15 seats without losing any of yours. You see, we have 123 MPs. For us to be able to have a majority, we need 16 seats. whilst we are still keeping 123 seats on our own. If we lose one, then we need 17 seats from the NDC. If we lose two, then we need 18 seats from the NDC. If we lose three, and it continues like that. That's a very, very difficult task for us. Then what happens is that we do an all-comers game. Everybody contests this election. We are spoiling ourselves. The minority is like this MP is like that MP is like that, and we believe that after that we can just come together and that people will not remember what we said. It gives my imagination. People will do. I'll give you an example about myself. It's not that I'm going unopposed, but it's not that in Bimbala constituency people are to contest. There are thousands of people who may even be better than me, who can contest elections and also become MPs. I can tell you that there are people out there who actually want to become MPs. But when everybody sat them together and said, look, where this man has reached in terms of politics in parliament, it is not useful for you to go and say you want to unseat that person. What you do is to help the person to stabilize himself, have a small vote, and help Nana Akufo-Addo become president. In that case, after that, what happened next? That is in the interest of the party. Because whatever decision you are taking, there is not taking it in his own interest and say, because I want to be an MP, I must be an MP by all means. No, that's it. Whatever he's doing it in the interest of the party. That's why I said today, I continue to say that if I were in Swami, for example, I would have voted for Chairman Sabonso, not because he's my friend, or not because he may be my boss, not because I like him, or not because maybe he's an acquaintance. No. Even if he was my worst enemy, I'll vote for him because, one, I want to protect that position. It's very important. Look at what happened in 2008. We are still having the effect. In fact, we are still feeling the effect and feeling the effect of what happened in 2008. And the NDC uses so much. Like, can you imagine what forbid? Suppose he doesn't win out, we come back on. What will be the posture of the MPP vis-a-vis the NDC in that house? Can you imagine what will happen in that house on Tuesday? And moving forward as a political party and as a minority, total disaster and chaos for us. That's my problem.
I see. But then again, somebody says, it's not chieftaincy, it's not your father's too. And shouldn't you then do the leadership maybe on a 4-year term so that you rotate it amongst yourself to, so that you take this pressure off yourself?
Well, if we are talking of leadership rotation, that's what I heard. The line is very clear.
Yes, leadership rotation in the House, yeah.
You see, when the party meets, after every election, the party is to look among the MPs and say that, look, of all the 103 MPs, we believe this category of people are the people who can lead us at this time to achieve what we are looking for. So the party looks at the leader, looks at the person and says, look, we think you should be the leader of the party. You should be the leader of our members of parliament on this side for the next 4 years. Even though the party has a constitution that says if you are not performing, they have a way of changing you. But as long as they didn't change you, the party believes that you are the best. And that you can lead the others to achieve a parliamentary majority. You can lead the others to achieve the aim of the party and defend the party in parliament, defend the interests of the people in parliament, defend your tradition in parliament. And that's why they have picked you. So if of all the 123 MPs or 130 MPs or 112 MPs, they think you are the person who can lead them. And 1.5 years down the line, there are people in the constituency who say, no, you're not good enough to even be a member of parliament in the constituency, so we want to change you. But do you think that sincerely, that it doesn't hurt the party? It does. Anybody who says it does not hurt the party, then the person doesn't know what he's doing. It does, and he hurts the party big time.
Hold on
so
for
many
me.
questions. So rotation, some people may think of rotation, but the party in its wisdom, through the National Council, picks up the person. And the National Council is the most inter pares, other than the Congress, is the most inter pares, the second most important body of the party. So when they vest power in an individual and think that this person should lead them, we should just respect and protect that position.
Hold on, Evans, I mean, I'm listening to Dominic's argument, right? But you see, once Osei Chairman is voted, he becomes responsible for the whole constituent. Now, not everybody in the constituent may be NDC or MPP. Some may even be just neutral. So if at one point in time they feel that, listen, this guy is not representing our interest, however, he's very good with in-house tactics. Well, that's not good to me when, you're not lobbying on my behalf. So whether you know how the paper is being pushed, get out and let me get somebody who looks after me, I don't know what.
It's a balancing out between competence and the ability to do the willing dealing politically. And I think parties find themselves in a difficult phase because, in fact, if you elect somebody to parliament, the guy was elected on the ticket of a political party, first of all. And so when the guy goes to parliament, he needs to still balance that thing very carefully between doing the bidding of the political party and doing the bidding of the people generally, and doing what is in the interest of the bigger constituency or what is in the interest of the political party. And sometimes that clashes. And we've seen that as part of the problem. In my position on all this, whether MPs who are experienced should go or should not be allowed to be contested, etc., it's a simple one. First of all, parties need to win elections to be either in parliament or at the presidency. So if your primary consideration at the beginning of a primary, like we're going to have on Saturday, is who can best do the job, and forget about who can best win me votes, you will not get to parliament to even do the job in the first place. So the first consideration for me is who can win me the most votes. Once I win the vote, then I think about governing. Because you see, we've had a situation in the country where we have MPs who go to, they have brilliant minds, okay? And they put together all these fantastic documents about how they will transform society. There's another contender who comes and his only focus is winning the votes. He gets into parliament, and the guy who has all the fantastic ideas does not get to go to parliament. Without that, you don't have the power. So, for me, the consideration must be both. And the parties need to balance that carefully. It's not about, if Osei Asare has been there for 4 terms, that's a long time. And a certain assessment has been done right now about, is he still in a position to win votes, and by doing that win the Addo enough votes in this constituency for eventually for him to win the 2016 elections? For me, that's the bottom line, okay? If he's over time, and you see, the problem with incumbency is everybody will blame you for their faults or for anything that happens in the constituency that is wrong. And so, that's why people at the point needs change, okay? So we need to assess the incumbents. Have they outlived their usefulness to the community? The bottom line question, and I think you suggested in your question, is this. Do the people still want him there, okay? Will the people still vote for him, majority of them still vote for him today? If you do an assessment and you come to the conclusion that people will not, then it's not in the interest of the party to say, let's protect him. Ask everybody else to contest him. What will happen then in the case of Osei Asare? He has a guy who is challenging him, one Mr. Boateng, who is very well resourced, who is campaigning very vigorously, and he feels threatened. But why? Because the people are seeing in the other person something new, you know. So that for me is a consideration. When the party gets that combination right, then they know that whoever they are putting there, A, can win us the most votes, and by extension win Addo most votes for the presidential race and for himself in parliament. And B, when he goes there, he will do the bidding. You will expect the person to do the bidding first of what is the national interest. But the truth is, the party has more sway over the individual. And it's a problem with that democracy, our parliamentary democracy that we run. We have the whip system. What it means is, the whip is supposed to whip everybody in line to do what the party or the government wants. So once you have a system that recognizes people must be whipped in line, then you are telling the people that, well, you can do the bidding of the party, not necessarily what is in the interest of all of us. So it's a democracy that we run, and we borrowed it from the UK, and they do that also quite well. So we have a system that either we reform the whole process or hope that people will go to parliament and somehow be good.
Be independent.
Exactly. But we know that won't happen. But parties need to consider. And the NBC does this very well. They want to win election. They want to win election. Bottom line. You know, then people will go and draw up all these nice, fantastic ideas and have all these lofty, fantastic ideas, and they lose election. The NDC will go to parliament and will have the majority. It's amazing, isn't it, that the MPP did, people say, They did fantastically during the Kufuor era and still lost the election when they were still incumbent in 2008. Okay, compared to 2000, when people say they were fed up with Mr. Rawlings and therefore they want to change and brought in the MPP. Why? Because the NDC, they've been doing something very well. They are an effective election machine. People say the jury is still out about whether they are fantastic, government when it comes to governing. Jury is still out there. If you ask them, they'll say they govern fantastically. But what they do that is not in doubt is win elections. Okay, and maybe the MPP needs to learn something about that.
Let me take a break here, and then we'll come back and continue because it's getting exciting. Don't move, we're coming straight back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we are discussing and literally finding out, will the MPP come back to power? But if you haven't watched it, you don't want to miss this one, and that's Casa del Mo on Joy Prime, and they present the Family Award-nominated telenovela Avinda Brazil. Now, Avinda Brazil tells the story of a young girl, Rita, who knew her father's wife, Kwabena, was up to no good. Without her father to protect her, Rita was brought to the garbage dump and abandoned, but discovered by Potato and Mama Lucinda, who helped her to introduce her to a new life in Argentina. Now, will Rita find justice? Can she grow and exact sweet revenge while at the same time rekindle her first love? Now, since the creation of Avinda Brazil, has been nominated for 100 awards and it's won 40. Now, the shows on Monday to Saturday at 8 p.m. starting 15th June on Joy Prime. Joy Prime, real entertainment. You don't want to miss this, those of you who like your TV. Now, blood donation exercise, and the National Blood Service is organizing a mobile blood collection drive in several areas as we mourn those who lost in the recent tragedy of the floods and fires. Let's all join in this, and I'll give you the locations, so look out for the collection team. June 10th, Pentecost Hospital in Medina at 8 a.m. So those of you in Medina, bear in mind, Pentecost Hospital, Medina, 8 a.m. ATTC in Kokomlimli, June 10th at 12 p.m. June 11th, Lekma Hospital, Teshi at 8 a.m. Odogono SHS Awoshi, 8 a.m. and Harvard SHS Kokomlimli at 7:30 a.m. So note all these areas down. June 12th, it's right here, Joy FM, Kokomlimli, 8 a.m. June 13, Victory Bible Church Headquarters, Awoshi, that's 8 a.m. And then WBDD commemorative events, for Sutherland Park for the mass blood donation. That's 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then June 14th, Global Evangelical Church at Dringano. That's 8 a.m. Note the lines down. We're going to go to the phone lines very soon. And it's 0302 2211 701 702 703 704 0302 2211 701 all the way down to 4. But let me acknowledge Dominic on the phone. Hello, Dominic.
Yes, my brother.
Did you listen to Evans's analysis? I hope you caught it.
I did.
Very good. What's your response to that?
I think that he was fairly right. Not just fairly right, he was right when he said that it was important for the party to balance a candidate who will be able to attract maximum votes and a candidate who will perform in parliament, and that the NDC does it very well. But unfortunately, that is not true. What the NDC does is that they just look for candidates who can attract votes so that they win elections. When they come and they get even 20 people performing in parliament, they don't mind. So that's what they do. And in fact, if the MPP does the same thing, the delegates are expected to do the same thing. But you see, when it comes to general elections, some constituencies are pretty fixed. Once you become a candidate in about 70 constituencies in the MPP, you fairly believe that you will be a member of parliament. And then a similar number within the NDC, finally you believe that you'll be a member of parliament, which is true, unless some strange thing happens. The rest is anybody's game. So that number between 50 to 70 seats or 80 seats that we have is where the real politicking is. And it involves a lot of things. So when you are selecting candidates, you are also looking at even your strong, somebody who will be able to pull maximum number of votes. Of course, if you go back to the person I used as an example, Seche Mensah, so in that case, you will not say he didn't, because he's one of the few candidates who increased their votes tremendously over the last election. Particularly using 2012. If you check the vote pattern, you realize that his votes went up so much. And so you will not want to use that as a basis to debate all long states. People use other things to be able to say, well, we think that you are stay too long, you allow other people. But I've always said that if a candidate is delivering in parliament, and if a candidate is able to deliver in his constituency, that is increase the number of votes, and he's still very popular within the constituency, I don't see why we should change that.
But in this case, Osei Mensah does not seem to be that popular within his constituency.
Well, I will not be able to say that, and I would disagree with that. I would totally disagree with that, because you have a constituency that has over 100,000 people, and so if you have
but constantly the party is extending pleas and asking people to exercise caution. I mean, if he was that popular, I mean, I haven't heard anybody publicly in your side in your constituency. I don't know if it's happened behind closed doors, but Osei Mensah has been really out there in the public where fellow colleagues have gone there and speaking to delegates that please let him go, otherwise it looks bad.
No. Let me be frank with you. He's going to win the election, and he'll win pretty well. After that one, the information we all have in the ground, he'll win. You can trust me on that. He will win the elections and win pretty well. But it will be a shame.
Would it be out of sympathy, or out of that he won within his own conviction? Because everybody seems to be pleading on his behalf. Oh, it will look bad if he goes. It won't look fine if he comes back into parliament. He has a whole year to go. How is he going to work? I mean, that's what we hear. It's not like, oh, he gave you this, he gave you that, he gave you this, so therefore let him go.
No. You see, if you decide to judge a member of parliament on development, then you have a big problem with
lobbying. I mean, you have to lobby things for your people.
Yes, you will lobby. Yeah. And if it is lobbying, I think that President Mahama came to Parliament to come and even mention he had lobbied for a number of roads. He used him as an example. So I don't want to talk about that because every MP will be able to tell you exactly the number of things he did. And the President was in Parliament to say, well, you asked James Mensah, he came to lobby us and we gave him 4 or 5 roads in Swami. So I don't want to talk about that. I believe that when you ask him what he has done personally as a member of Parliament, he'll be able to tell you that I lobby for this, I lobby for that project, I lobby for that project, I lobby for that project. There are MPs who don't talk. But when you ask them and when they decide to tell you what they have done, you'll be amazed. There are others who, even when it's one project, it becomes a media fanfare. So that's about style. But I'm saying that even with that, the party looked at that individual and felt that he should be the leader of the party in parliament. That gives a lot of weight on the constituency. And so when you are doing primary, these are some of the things that you are going to look at. What is it that, for example, unless we believe we are not going to win elections, if the party believes that they will win elections in 2016, you are going to put Osei Mensah and people who are contesting and ask that between the two, who do you think that when the party is in power will be able to bring a lot of things to the constituency? At his experience and age and the fact that he's been the leader all this while, you think that our party will be in power by 2016 and Osei Mensah will not make Swami look like small London? Then it means that he has a big problem. And so I'm very confident in my mind that anybody who believes that we're going to win 2016 will vote for him, because that person will know that he's going to have a lot of weight in government. He's going to have a lot of say in government because he's been the leader for the past 8 years. So he will have a lot of weight. He's a heavyweight in government. And they will not change. They will not exchange him for somebody and the person then begins to go and lobby another person, because he will be a decision maker. He's not going to lobby somebody when we are in government. So if you have somebody who will not lobby somebody because he is going to be part of the decision makers, and you will have a choice to choose somebody who will now go and lobby another person, I will choose the person who is going to be a decision maker, especially if both of them are capable of bringing votes. Like I said, you look at the past results, because in politics, you charge the results. You are going to judge him by results. And if you judge him by the past results, he's one of the few MPs who increased their votes big time. So I believe that Evans' analysis was up. He did what a normal professional would do in analyzing elections, and that delegate is what the delegation will look at, because you have to win an election before you come and look at performance. You cannot just look at only performance and then you vote. You're also going to look at who is going to bring the votes. Likely for him, he brought the vote and he's performing in parliament. So it's good news for him and his people. And I think that you reward people who are working hard in parliament. And that's one of the reasons why Nana was rewarded heavily, because he was loyal to the party, he's toughest for the party, he has worked hard, he's the most marketable candidate. And I think it fits the other gentleman, the minority leader, very well. I'm not focusing on him. It just goes to tell you that most of the other MPs have the same problem. But of course, there are some that their constituencies may say, no, this is not true. And that you have to take the case by case basis. You take the constituency by constituency basis. I just told you in my case, for example, they took a lot of things into consideration and thought that the best thing is to shelve our individual interests and say, no, let us put a stop to it, and let's unite the party behind this person for us to win power. Because the ultimate for the MPP is to win power in 2016. That's the biggest aim that the party has now, making another president. Any other thing is secondary. Become majority in parliament by making sure that we win above 16, 17 seats while holding on to what we have, and then get Nana Akufo-Addo to also be president, so that we can have a majority to develop this country. Any other aim is secondary to the party, as we say today.
On the subject of Nana Addo, I was monitoring Kaba this afternoon on Asempa, and there was a voice that, that's one thing the NPP has been good at, always recording each other and sending out. But anyway, there was a recording of Nana Addo who had visited the constituency and, giving a speech to sort of say that, look, vote for the guy who's here. The others were not too pleased because they were thinking, hold on, there are 3 guys running for this seat. How come you only come into this guy's camp? And that was a little bit of misunderstanding. Do you know anything about that? And is it would it be ethical?
Well, I just think that people should stop crying power where there's no cost. There's no cost. If a member of parliament has a function and he invites a flag bearer, I don't think that the flag bearer should turn it down just because people say that he's campaigning for that flag bearer. I don't think so. It is difficult for a flag bearer at this time to have a say in terms of who he supports or who he doesn't support. Obviously, he's a human being. He knows that, look, given the opportunity, I will choose this person, particularly a city that he himself was a member of parliament. So he knows the dynamics in that place very well, and he would be the first to advise behind the things that if you were to pick this person, it would be good. That's why if you listen to him very carefully at the beginning, he said, look, all the people who are contesting for me, they are all my people, and I'm not going to stand here and say vote for that person or don't vote for that. It's important to choose a candidate who will bring maximum votes. And if a candidate has consistently brought us over 85%, 90%, why do you want to change him? And I think that any other person will do the same thing.
Okay.
May his soul rest in peace, kept calling other people to step down for other people on several occasions. He did that publicly. He did that in private. I don't think that people should take Nana.
Okay, hold on for me, Dominic. It's a very sensitive one, isn't it? I mean, what would the right thing to do? Ignore everybody or just attend one? Because then the others feel that, oh, hold on, why is he going to his event? Why is he giving a speech? Not mentioning name, but say, just vote for the right candidate. But I was the candidate here, so sort of leading You know, I mean, what do you do?
I think for me, it's a simple case. Really.
No, I understand people when they have fear. But when people begin to read into the minds of other people and insinuate that, well, maybe this is where this person means, I don't think it's good for our
Okay, hold on, let me bring...
If the person really wants to campaign for somebody, he will campaign for the person.
Well, but that won't be ethical. That won't be ethical. But let me bring Evans here.
Other presidents have done it before. Even President Rawlings campaigned for Addo Mills before he became president.
Okay, hold on for me, Dominic.
President Mills did that before. On several occasions, President Kufuor called other people to say, look...
Okay, Dominic, hold on. Dominic, hold on for me.
We did that for Judge Mensah. We did that for many other people.
Dominic, I'll come back to you.
I mean, I think within the current atmosphere, within the MPP now, and don't forget, we're still not over the death of Addo Muhammad, and there's a lot of suspicion still within the MPP. I think within the... And, well, Addo himself said when he addressed the nation in the wake of the death and all that happened, that the party needs to hold several meetings to try and resolve their many thorny issues. So clearly, those meetings have not been held. They're waiting after the primaries. So what it is there's still this cloud of suspicion hanging over the MPP. So my advice is, my position on this is, within this time when there's a lot of suspicion, it is absolutely unhelpful for him to be seen publicly taking position for or against a candidate going into the primary. Especially when he's issued a statement publicly. That seems to be a neutral statement saying, everybody else, I wish you well. So once you're seen taking a position or seem to be campaigning for one person, you are just, again, pouring more fuel into this whole cloud of suspicion that is already in the party. But the truth is, he will vote on election day, on the primary day on Saturday. So clearly, he has a favorite, okay? The difference is him now going public with who he's going to support. That for me is a big problem, because once you do that, you're just making the already difficult situation in the party even more worse. Because, take it or leave it, political parties are factional organizations. People have factions. So this individual that you're supporting may be somebody you like, but the other guy who thinks that, well, what you're doing is wrong, may belong to some other camp. What if it belongs to Alanche Mountains camp? What if it belongs to the Afroku's camp or Kwabena Duffuor's camp? People look at that and say, here we go again. This is what we are talking about. And Addo does not like the other side. And that is why he prefers this other candidate than the other candidate. You allow people to speculate, you feed and grow that suspicion, and it further divides the party. So I don't think it should go there. It should simply go and vote secretly and go home. The outcome of the election will speak for itself, and the party will move on from there.
Dominic, come in.
Evan, the difficulty or what you have previous is the fact that it's what the next because clearly a certain context to
Dominic, the line is really bad, so I'm going to get them to call you back. And I'll take a quick break and come back so I get your response. But the line is really bad, so let me take a break here, and I'm coming straight back. Wow. Is the MPP ready for power? And that's what we are discussing. 0302221171. Get your calls coming in. Let's hear your take. You guys are the ones on the ground and you have a say. But Dominic, I'll let you remind if I still got Dominic on the line. Oh, okay. I haven't got a feature. Okay. So Evans, let me come back to you. But I think I kind of see where you're coming from. Dominic was trying to say, well, he was invited to this event, and therefore, he can say he will come.
Yeah. So go. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going because you've been invited. So go and restate what you've already said publicly in a statement. So there's consistency. So go and say, because he issued a statement saying, I wish everybody else contesting well. That was a general thrust, and that people should conduct themselves properly, etc. And as a leader of the party. So go there and restate that. Whether it's a private meeting or it's a public meeting, maintain consistency. So that if the other guy also decides to invite you, you go there and restate that public position. But when you go there and start saying things that people interpret as favoring one candidate over the other, then there's a disconnect between your neutral position publicly and then this biased position you're expressing in private, then there's a conflict.
Let me go to Tamale and speak to Peter. Hello, Peter. Peter?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Nana. Good evening.
Yes, let me hear your thoughts.
How are you?
Very well, my brother.
Yeah, you are doing very well. I've been watching your program every day. Today, I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you.
And then I want to say hello to Ivan as well.
Yeah.
I want to go straight to the point. MPP issues is like a house without a leader. I listen to the minority leader trying to defend his boss. That for him, that's the right thing to do. But he rather influencing the personalism in the party. So, I know the man is your boss anyway, but there's no need for you to defend him in public. Okay, stay neutral. Look, I like we in NDC, my brother, Nana. I'm telling you that 2016 is a one conclusion. If you see what John is doing, though we know the economy is facing challenges, no one can challenge that. We are facing challenges. But if you come to the ground and see what the man is doing in the northern region, I'm telling you, they're going to lose again. Number one, Nana.
Briefly, and let me take my next caller.
The message, the candidate, and then election machinery. Okay? And the NPP has no candidate. NPP has no candidate.
Peter, I got you.
Because the one leading them cannot deny them. The Bible said that a house which divides against it cannot stand.
Peter, thank you. Let me make it quick because I'm running out of time. Let me give everybody a little time so we can get as many. But let me go to Bumprugu and speak to Abdul. Abdul, have I got you?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, Abdul. Let me hear your thoughts.
Yes, just a quick one. It's not Bumprugu, it's Kumbungu.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Let me hear you.
I'm just making a correction with respect to what Ivan said. He said Nana addressed the nation. Nana addressed the MPP supporters at Bolga on Adam's Mama's death.
I don't quite get you, but eventually he addressed, well.
Well, he did a press conference at the party headquarters and addressed the country. And, of course. I mean, I'm sure he's making a distinction between addressing the party and addressing the nation. But he spoke to the press. It was everybody listened to him.
Let me go to Diaya and Kwanta. And hello, who am I talking to? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I didn't catch your name. I know you're calling from Diaya Kwanta, but I didn't catch your name.
Is there?
I didn't get your name. I know you're calling from Diaya
I said I'm George.
George, talk to me. What is it? Yeah, what's your thoughts? George, you're on air. What's your thoughts?
I'm calling from Diaya Kwanta.
Very good. Now talk. You're on air.
Is there?
You're on air, so let me hear your thoughts.
I can't hear you.
Okay, let's take the next caller because I think the line is quite bad. Who do I have next? Evans, let me come to you. But just to say that he didn't address the nation. So that's a good one. Ivan, so on a serious note, the MPP needs to do a serious PR work to gather the pieces. I mean, somebody would say, thank God for floods. Because I mean, they were being battered and bruised in the line until this unfortunate thing happened to the nation. So obviously, we need to just leave them alone and go and rescue people. And thank God, guys like you are up there, trying to help. But being Ghanaians, sooner or later, the flood issues will go and will come back. How do they repair this damage? I mean, what do they do? How do you recover?
It starts with those meetings that Addo himself had called at the time when he addressed the press, by extension addressed the entire country. He's trying to speak to people who are rank and file of the party across board, and people shouldn't make any mistake about it. What happened in the MPP is a national security matter because it's a major political party. It starts with those meetings he called, and he called several meetings. The National Council, which is the highest decision-making body apart from the Congress, should meet, he says. The party's steering committee and the party's national executive committee, he says all of them should meet and try and discuss all these matters. For me, that's where it starts. Some meeting needs to be held where Nana Akufo-Addo himself and Afoko and Kwabena Duffuor and everybody else who support them come together in the presence of all the party bigwigs and try and resolve this, because it's only dialogue that can resolve the matter that you're in. Nothing else can. And Addo himself has been one time the country's chief diplomat, as a country's foreign affairs minister.
You should know how to do it.
Absolutely.
Let me speak to Rafiq in Bolga and come back to you. Hello, Rafiq.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Rafiq.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother.
This is Rafiq Bolga.
Talk to me.
I wish MPP all the best on Saturday.
Well, I say thank you.
I wish MPP all the best on Saturday.
Well, I'm sure they'll say thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Evans, back to our PR thing. Now, once they've resolved it in public, should they have any scapegoats or something? I mean, how do we build confidence? I mean, if I was a floating voter now, I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, the key question whether the MPP is a credible alternative now or not. And well, I guess for me, this is subjective opinion, that within the current context, it's pretty hard to say the MPP is a credible alternative. The MPP isn't right now. It might change in the coming weeks, but it all depends on how they resolve the internal difficulties and how they are able then to rebrand themselves as a party that is has to check his recent violent past. Because, in fact, the MPP over time had shown to be a highly democratic party, believes in conversation rather than blows. But over the last few weeks, we've seen a lot of blows and conversation.
I want to pick you on that point, but let me speak to Ejebu in Commander and then come back to you. Hello, Ejebu.
Yes, sir.
You're on there. Let me hear your thoughts.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Okay. Thanks very much. That today I've got a chance to talk. Nanado, if he made that comment to support somebody in this particular area, it is very, very awful and dangerous. Because as a leader, you don't have to support anybody. Be neutral and talk to people. But the moment you take that stand, meaning you are trying to make someone popular than other, and in case your favorite fails, what will happen?
Thank
that
you
person
very
will also go and then make against. So please, next time you shouldn't do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that call. But Evans, the reason why I said hold on, I'm coming back to you. You see, politics is indeed perception. But if you look at the amount of violence coming from both sides, it's almost equal. Yeah. But the perception is, oh, NDC for the buga. But you know, the buga seems to be fairly equal.
Yeah. I mean, the MPP, the NDC, one time had a terrible image in terms of violence. I mean, and people attacked them as a violent party. And I think they did a deliberate effort to try and shed that that tag. And if you pay attention to what happened in the last elections, when they caught onto the Nado's or die be die message, it became a deliberate campaign message to paint the Nado as somebody who supports or endorses violence. To deflect the attention from the NDC to him. And largely, another reason was asked a question about what is one of his, he should name one of his greatest regrets. And he says, the all die be die. So for me, it buttresses the point that perception of being a violent party can cost you an election. Probably he's done an introspection. And they've told him that thing was a great dip in the campaign to win election, for which reason probably he might have lost. That is why, I mean, the NDC and MPP have that. But people remember the latest events. So now everybody remembers NPP somebody in MPP pouring acid on one of their own allegedly and killing the person. That's what people remember. And that don't make any bones about this. The NDC is going to use it to campaign for the 2016 elections. Paint the MPP again as a violent party. I'll tell you what an Indomie seller down the road said. That is very instructive. 30 seconds. He says, well, do you want acid or you want doomsaw? And for him, that's how he's going to make his decision who to vote for next year. He was asking me, do you want acid or do you want doomsaw? For him, in his estimation, doomsaw any day so far as I done that. That is how people are going to think. And NDC is going to use that in the villages to campaign. Evans, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for things, dude. All my shirts are produced by Tantees Fashion, and you can reach them on 024-366-2001 and 024-366-2001. Tantees Fashion. They are also on Facebook, so you can contact them. But as I always say, thank you very much for watching, and tomorrow we're back to do it all over again. Evans, thank you so much. Thank you very much.